What Stoicism is a formula for enduring the blows of fortune, the whims of life. How to be resilient. It was this skill that Epictetus promised will ensure we lead a mainly untroubled life, and Epictetus had mastered it, and he taught others how to do it too. How do you cultivate resilience, or as Epictetus put it, discover the power of endurance? It starts with, he said, your chief task in life, which is to be able to identify and distinguish between what is up to us and what is not up to us, the things we control and the things we cannot.
In my case, my son had cancer. I was the one who saw the white thing in his eye, and that was the cancer. And so I chose to find out what it was, to go to hospital, to immediately tell my wife, we have to take him to the hospital because this is very, very important and very, very dangerous. I had no control over what was, but I had control over what I was going to do.
That's the crucial distinction that every person must make. That's the difference between people who are resilient and people who aren't. One thing you learn in endurance sports is that you always have further to go than you think is possible. Your body is telling you to quit, or your mind is telling you to quit, but actually your body is capable of more, and you have to override this. You have to push past it. And so for me, the endurance sport...
Not only endurance, I think almost any sport.
And this practice is deeply important into getting to that philosophical place of resilience and fortitude. There's a quote from Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world. He's saying it's very important to always live your life by an inner scorecard, not an outer scorecard. What he means by this is not just there are going to be moments in your life where you do everything right and it doesn't work out, right? So if all you care about is what the scoreboard says or the win-loss column, you're going to chalk that up as a loss, even though you're learning the wrong lesson there, right? Because you actually did all the things that you were supposed to do, it just didn't work out in your favor.
But one of big mind shifts from my experience when my son got cancer was that I started thinking about, did I do my best? Had my son died, he didn't die, and I'm so happy about that. But even had he died, I knew that I would only regret things had I not done my best.
In Meditations, Marcus Aurelius says, it's not unfortunate that this happened to me. He says, it's fortunate that this happened to me. It's better that it happened to me, he says, than somebody else, because not everyone would be able to deal with it the way that I'm able to deal with it. And that's what you want to remind yourself as you're going through stuff. You go.
I remember I was thinking that, yeah, can you imagine if some other child got cancer? Can you imagine if some other child with some other parents who are not as attentive, who are not as careful, how would that child deal with it?
Better me than somebody else. I know how to get through stuff like this. I'm tough enough to get through stuff like this. I'm strong enough to get through stuff like this. I'm going to get through it. I'm going to turn it into something. And not everyone would be strong enough, smart enough, resilient enough, creative enough to do that. And that's why it's not unfortunate that whatever this is happened to you. It's fortunate that this happened to you. And that's what this idea of amor fati is about. You love it because it happened to you, and you know what you're going to be able to make of it. Who are you learning from, right? Not just your teachers, but what sort of active path of studying and education are you currently on? What questions are you asking? Who are you asking those questions to? Specifically, I'd say, what books are you reading? I love this quote from General Mattis. He says, if you haven't read hundreds of books, you're functionally illiterate. And he says this in Call Sign Chaos, which is a wonderful book, but he's saying human beings have been fighting on this planet and writing about it for a minimum of 5,000 years. Right? And he says it's unconscionable, even criminal, for leaders to be learning by trial and error what has already been learned by other people. He says, if you're learning by trial and error, you're filling up body bags.
You remember one of the first points was to know what you can control, right? And so when you know what you can control, you are thinking about this situation as a problem that has to be solved. And how do we solve problems? We solve problems by A, learning how to do that, B, gathering the materials, and C, getting the right tools.
people have written about that. Smart people have written about it. People who f***ed it up have written about it, right? You can learn from all different types of people. You want to learn from cautionary tales. You want to learn from inspirations. You want to read how-to books. You want to read history books. The biggest enemy that everyone in this room faces, right? Our most dangerous opponent for this team, to your career, to each and every leader in the world. Look, it's not someone you line up against. It's not the risk of injury. It's not the critics in the media. It's not a coach or a GM or even another player. It's you, right? When you look at the great empires of history, when you look at the colossal failures, businesses that went from billions of dollars to zero, when you look at people who have ruined their careers, ruined their life, right? It's not some outside force that came and took what they had from them. It's they destroyed themselves, right? And this goes back to all Greek poetry and plays, right? That
if you are, let's say, you are captured by your enemies, let's say you are a Ukrainian soldier, let's say injured, captured by Russians, is your greatest enemy you? I don't know. I think this point again is trying to bring us back to the point about control. That you can't control outside, but you can control what's inside. And so if you control yourself, then you kind of defeat your enemy. But to be honest, I'm not sure what this means.
Hubris, right? That tears us down, that makes us overreach, that makes us take our eye off the ball. That's what ego is, right? Our ego is the primary enemy. And look, this goes back a long time. It's in the Bible, right? Pride goeth before the fall. And then we even have this in ancient Greek poetry, right? The first thing which the gods bestow on those they want to destroy is pride. Pride is what tears us down when we think we're better than other people, when we think we're invincible, when we think the rules don't apply to us. This is when we start to get in trouble. This is when we make mistakes.
There are so many points in this kind of mixed together. Life is random. Again, that's what I've been telling you about. And so maybe this is also one of the points, so that many people think that they are special. Well, nobody is special.
And so it's easy to see the ego in other people, right? We know Steve Jobs' ego got him fired from Apple the first time. Kanye West's ego's always getting him into trouble. 6ix9ine, you know, he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. What kind of idiot joins a gang after you become a successful rapper? But that's what ego is, right? That's trying to impress people that don't actually matter. This is the founder of Theranos, billionaire, net worth now of 0, right? Because she liked the marketing and the hype of what she was doing. But another word for faking it till you make it is fraud. And she's going to spend time in jail as well. So it's easy to think about other people's ego, and we can spot that pretty easy, and we know when people's ego is holding them back. But where does your ego hold you back? That's what I want you to think about, right? What is ego preventing you from learning or doing? Where are you making decisions out of ego, and how is that causing problems for you?
Okay guys, this is the end of the video. Tell me what you liked, tell me what you didn't like, and if you want to get a worksheet on how to develop your resilience, how to become stronger, more unbreakable, please look down in the comment section or in the description of this video, and you will find a link to a free worksheet that you can download right now and get started. And I will see you in the next one.